Hey everybody, my name is Tom Jones Pharmacist and you are on Tom Jones Pharmacist Live. And we're going today to talk about a very interesting subject. We're going to talk about outdated drugs. Are they dangerous? Well, and we've had several studies recently in the last few years. We're going to talk about it now and come up with the answer. And we'll go over some specifics. All right, we are here at Tom Jones Pharmacist Live for you to have answers. And we really appreciate you being with us today. We're going to go right directly into our presentation. You know, consumers are sometimes quick to disregard expiration dates of their medicines and over-the-counter medications. And we're talking about pharmaceutical medications. We're talking about the real stuff, the real drugs. But now, in 2017, people have issues with some of the things that relate to their pharmaceuticals. Because they're expensive. Yes, they are expensive. They are not inexpensive like they were years ago. So people's habits, they take more medicine now, and that's something that's really, really important. And there's always an expiration date that's on the bottle. Are these expiration dates accurate? And I'm going to give you the skinny because I'm a compounding pharmacist. I am a pharmacist. And I take no chances. I take no chances whatsoever. But, you know, you have expiration dates on your driver's license. You have an expiration date on your passport. You have an expiration date on food. And you have an expiration date on pharmaceuticals. And when you buy the pharmaceuticals, if they're expensive, it hurts the pocketbook. And there can be consequences on a lot of medications. So there's certain medications you would never, ever, ever put in your mouth or rub on your body. So we actually are going to talk about what are some of the issues that relate to the expiration dates. You got to understand how the pharmaceutical industry talks about their medications and how they actually will make the expiration date on the bottle. Okay, longevity and expiration dates are two things really. All drugs have unique formulations. They consist of active and inactive drugs. All right, so you got ingredients in the bottle that talk about how long it stays from deteriorating. And this is known as the shelf life of the medication. And being a pharmacist, you know, I was back in the era of when there was no expiration date on the bottle. I remember absolutely there were no expiration dates when I first started practicing pharmacy back in the mid-60s. The early 60s I was actually a pharmacy student, and then in the mid-60s I became a registered pharmacist. And there were no expiration dates. So in the 70s, pharmaceutical companies started putting expiration dates on the bottle. Now, the expiration date that's actually on the bottle itself is how long the drug is active and how long it's before it starts deteriorating. This is known as the shelf life. And if a medication is used within the shelf life, maximum efficiency of the drug and safety of the drug is expected. All right. efficiency really is a very, very important word because it reflects the ability of the drug to produce the effect. Whatever the desired effect is, that drug, when it's in the expiration date, within that period of time, it will be working efficiently to do the job. And the pharmaceutical company is liable for that efficiency. And expired medications this is a big word, this is a big adjective, may not adequately treat minor conditions. For example, a minor headache, a cold, or serious conditions such as diabetes or heart disease or clearing up an infection. All right, so therefore we think of that as reduced efficiency. As a consequence, inactive and inadequate relief from that sickness could eventually lead to longer sick days. It could lead to increased absences from work and school and lost productivity at work and at school or wherever there is. The efficiency of the expired medication within that medication is twofold. Drugs become weak and may potentially be unsafe. And it's advisable to discard all the medications that are out of date. That's what the drug companies want you to do. That's what the FDA wants you to do. And that's what most people do. So why take the risk? Why take the risk? Always check expiration dates posted on boxes and vials and products that are expired. So check with your local pharmacy or your local physician's office to see if the medication disposal areas that you can drop off medications that are expired, that you can have these destroyed. So, all right, now let's talk. That's what really most people do. But let's talk about now another aspect. And this is, you really want to think about medication in the medicine cabinet stored in the original bottle, stored in a cool storage place. It's kept under lock and key. Nobody gets to it. It's airtight. It really is in optimal condition as far as storage. And that medication, past the expiration date, is it safe? And do you toss the bottle in the trash can? Or no, I can tell you right off the bat, that's not the way to do it. So you do not want to ever toss the bottle in the trash can for disposal or flush it down the commode. That's not the cool way. That's not the safe way. That's not the way. And we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. So what if that medication costs you $5,000? Yes, there's drugs out there right now that cost $5,000 and it has to come out of your pocket. So I want you to think about some different scenarios, and you want to be cautious, but you want to be smart also, because you don't have an extra $5,000 floating around in your pocketbook or in your bank account. So there was an analysis of 20 drugs, and these drugs had actually been expired. This was a few years ago. It wasn't that long ago, but it was a few years ago. And the laboratory analysis of 8 of the prescription drugs in this analysis found that most remained just as potent as they were the day that they were bought in the pharmacy. Overall, these 8 drugs included 14 different active ingredients, including aspirin, codeine, and hydrocodone. Well, let me just tell you one thing. I would not take any drug that had those 3 in it ever beyond the expiration date. So, aspirin will deteriorate. Codeine and hydrocodone are Schedule II narcotics. And you don't play around with narcotics. I kid you not. So those are 3 that I would never, ever, ever in my lifetime use after any expiration date. But what about other drugs that fall into the category? The FDA is going to tell you, toss it away. But this study revealed that out of 20 drugs, there were 8 that were totally 1,000% potent. So we're talking now about drugs that basically have been around for a long period of time, and they actually were blood pressure medications. They were generally pharmaceuticals that were in tablet form. The golden rule is never, ever, ever take a liquid that's in a bottle, because liquids go bad. Simple rule, it's 1,000%. Liquids go bad. I don't care how you make the preparation, it is not going to stay stable. Nitroglycerin will go bad. Oxidation will destroy the nitroglycerin after a period of time. So, but we're talking about pharmaceuticals that cost sometimes a lot of money. So this is the hypothetical situation in which you want to be, if you're a if you are someone who likes to save money, it's conceivable. It is conceivable, and we want to talk about what's dangerous and what's not dangerous. I'm not talking about the legality right now. I'm not talking what I would recommend. I'm talking about real life situations. And we're talking about a scientific double-blind study that actually looked at the drugs as they were in the original containers and the original prescription bottles. They were stored under lock and key. They were stored in the medicine cabinet. They were stored properly. So now you can't say from a pharmaceutical whether it's going to be good or not if you don't have the analysis of it. I am a compounding pharmacist. We do not play around with making preparations beyond the expiration date. We always use generally the exact expiration date of that preparation. But we're talking about hypothetical situations here that actually were scientifically done. So a lot of the medications fell into the 90% to 100% range of those 20 items. Some were liquids, some were actually exactly the way that they were originally, probably only 1 or 2 tablets taken out of it, if at all any were taken out of it. So, from the manufacturer's standpoint, they can only guarantee a drug to the expiration date that's on the bottle. And they're willing to guarantee that drug to that date. But for a drug to actually not be dangerous and not to be harmful for the individual, a tablet has the best chance of being okay to be consumed. And this is something, what belongs in your medicine cabinet? Do you keep outdated drugs in your medicine cabinet? you need to go look in your medicine cabinet right now and see if you've got anything that's out of date. And then you've got to make a decision yourself. It's an individual decision. I have told you how I would do the out-of-date issue. I would never, ever, ever put into my mouth a liquid that's been in a bottle anywhere, any place, anyhow. I would never put into my mouth an antibiotic that is beyond the expiration date. I would never put in my mouth nitroglycerin that is beyond the expiration date. So therefore, there are only a few drugs that fall into that arena. Deleted drugs, depleted drugs can be sometimes harmful. Sometimes they can be safe. So you're kind of like playing Russian roulette. And in the medical literature, it really does require learning, observing, taking care of your medicine cabinet, making sure that you feel comfortable taking your medication. So let's talk about how you get rid of medications. I'm going to now talk about our pollution problem in America. And as you know, we have a water supply in our country, and our water probably contains a lot of pharmaceuticals. In fact, there have been surveys that actually have told us that there are medicines in our water. I will repeat that. There are surveys that actually have analyzed the water, the drinking water of our country. And there are pharmaceuticals in our drinking water in a lot of cases. It's because people flush medicines down the commode. And guess what? That water supply goes back into our system, and there are pharmaceuticals in our water supply. No question about it. This is a major issue as far as pharmaceuticals in this country. We have an opiate problem already. We don't need to have extra medications in our water supply. So it's really, really important that you dispose of medication. If they're a tablet, you want to put it into a container that has like cat litter or some type of situation in which you can dispense or get rid of the medication so that people cannot consume and steal and find your medication. That is super, 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 super important from that standpoint. You cannot pour medicines in your commode down the water sink and get into our water supply. You have to combine that medication. You pour it into maybe some cat litter, and then you take the bag that has the cat litter and the medication in it, and you will, now you don't throw your whole bottle away either. You will pour the medication into the sand or litter or something that will dispense or disperse the tablets so that people cannot get an overdose from. And there's certain medications that you absolutely never ever put into the trash cans or etc. Fentanyl patches, that's a big no-no. People have died from actually getting hold of fentanyl patches. Children, pets that get hold of fentanyl, such as a strong opiate, have died. So there are many, many things that you can do that will allow you to get rid of pharmaceuticals. Make sure that when you are going to get rid of your medications, to call the pharmacy, call your doctor's office, and ask them, is there a disposal plan for the area that you live in? That is another way of getting rid of your medications. So you don't want to put the tablets into the commode because it will get in our water supply. We've got enough problems as it is, so we want to stay safe. This is a really, really fascinating subject. It's a subject that we don't talk about nearly as much as we should. So, the bottom line from our conversation today, some pharmaceuticals might be all right, but you don't know which ones they are. As a pharmacist, I have a better understanding, but I really don't know which ones they are, not in 100% of the cases. The safest way to eradicate out-of-date drugs is to dispose of them in a professional, highly professional manner, such as disposing of it in cat litter or some type of way that humans and pets and anybody else would not be able to get it. You don't want to flush it down the commode. The best way, another good way, is to find out when there is a disposal of your pharmaceuticals at the pharmacy, at the health center, or at your doctor's office. All right, we have gone over some very major important things. I really thank you for being with us here today. God bless. We'll be back for some more important information. We'll have something later on today about soda, the soda drinks, and Alzheimer's and heart attacks and stroke. Thank you so much. Goodbye. My name is Tom Jones, Pharmacist, and we will be back later today.